Hi, everybody. Welcome to Metaphysical Insights. I'm your host, William Becker, and today I have the lovely, wonderful Jen Neitzel of the Starry Night Inn in Seaside, Oregon. And this, we're going to talk about, lots of stuff with the inn and paranormal and things. It's a very historic building. It's haunted. There are a lot of other things, I think, in that area as well. And I'm doing a workshop there next month. So we'll talk about that too. Feel free to comment in and ask questions. We'd love to hear what you have to say and answer questions if possible. And Jen, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad. How I've been figuring out, trying to figure out how to describe the Starry Night, and how would you describe it, and then how did you get involved in this place? Because it's a place of magic, in my opinion. It's a kind of a metaphysical magic type of a thing. I mean,
So, my friend slash business partner and I found the property around 6 years ago, and we just fell in love with it from the first moment that we saw it. And we just could see that we could create a kind of vacation experience that we would want.
uh-huh.
And so, specifically, when we ever had this concept of like, let's get a little inn and create a vacation destination for people, we thought there were certain things you would want that would be unique in a hotel. So specifically, furnishing had a little more character to them. So not prefab hotel furniture, like cool, vintage, eclectic. So like we have kind of two separate spaces. One is the Victorian Lodge, and one are the cabins. And the Victorian Lodge is kind of, we think of it as Victorian safari. That's kind of our vibe that we're going for in the lobby. And then the cabins are styled like mid-century modern. And all of them have a bit of like this throwback vibe, but also infused with some sort of modern luxuries.
Okay.
And we thought that would just be visually appealing to people, that it would be restful, it would be inspiring. I mean, like, that's what we're kind of trying to do, is make people feel inspired and excited about a vacation, essentially. And then also we wanted it to be affordable. We wanted to have a spa. And I don't think when we originally got this property that we were thinking at all about, is it haunted or anything like that. Just over time, we started having little experiences. Specifically in room 6, that room has like a little crawl space up in the bathroom.
Okay.
And we started noticing that it would be open. And the first time that happened, I thought, well, that's weird. I guess the guests got up on the chair and looked up there. And then, like, the second time that happened, I was like, okay, guess did that again. But then, like, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 10th time, I was like, okay, something's going on here.
Right.
The thing I'll say, though, is it's not bad. All of the energies I've ever gotten from the place are actually really good. And specifically, we've had people come out from the Ghost Conference who've said that, who are like mediums, etc., seers have said, well, they're really happy with what you've done with the space. They really appreciate you and they like your guests and they have no ill intentions. Which I was like, well, good. It's good to know there's no hauntedness like that's scary going on here.
Right. Oh, excellent. That's fascinating. Just a quick question. Is your plug for your headphones all the way into your laptop?
Yes.
Okay, because I was hearing a little bit of
I
feedback.
am too. I wonder if I should try to unplug this for 1 second and see if it's better. Let's see. Better?
No. I can't hear you now.
Oh. Okay, unplugged back in.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. I'm sorry, people. I don't know why I get this sometimes. I've got headphones in. I guess that's just what happens when we have a low budget technology program. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, yeah, so again, going back to sort of the vacation experience we were trying to create for people, we also wanted it to be affordable. We wanted to have complimentary snacks and drinks available. And
Mhm.
those are all things we want when we go to a hotel. And we thought, well, let's provide those things for our guests. And that's been the consistent feedback over and over and over again is how people aren't used to getting things for free.
Right.
It's almost become a thing of the past.
Yes. Oh, that's
So,
wonderful.
yeah, so that's really kind of what we have aspired to do for our customers.
Mhm. I'm looking forward to actually staying at the inn this time because last time with the conference, it was used. You had investigations and such going on. So, and the the cottages were taken by people working, putting on the the event. So
Yes.
I didn't get to stay there. I got to teach there, but um, this October I'm looking forward to both.
Yes.
So yeah. Now, is room 6 the most active?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any idea why?
I don't. Something that's been kind of interesting, and lots of people have said lots of things about the space that I could rattle off, but um, a couple of things have come up a number of times. And one of them is that there are children that are like ghost children that run through the halls and are playful and sweet. And sometimes people have seen them in the upper part of the Victorian, like in the rooms or in the halls. Sometimes people see them in the basement.
Oh,
Um, so, and the thought is that they're probably children. So the house, okay, let me tell you the history of the house. Just so you
yeah. I was going to ask about
yeah,
that soon.
yeah.
Excuse me.
So the house was actually, let me tell you it the way that it kind of unfolded for me because I think it's interesting. So when
Okay.
we bought the house, the property, the paperwork said that the house was from 1919. And
Okay.
we had no reason to think anything different. And it actually wasn't until Rocky did a little bit of investigating on the house when he was first going to start doing ghost investigations that
Right.
he was able to find all of this evidence that the house was older than that. And through a series of random events, that information was lost. So specifically, there was a fire in Seaside, a really big fire, and all of the city records were destroyed. And
Oh.
so, yeah, so it seems as though one of the things that they did is they just decided, okay, so if we don't know the age of a house, it's from this year. And so I think that fire was not sure if it was in the teens, so like 17, 18. And so by the time they got around to doing the records, they're like, okay, this house is brand new, 1919. And that's how it got aged. But Rocky found paperwork and photos that the house was originally a block over on Holiday Street, not on First Street.
Okay.
And then it picked up and it was moved, which is crazy because it's a big house.
Right.
But it was moved probably by like horses or some other ox. I don't know, whatever you move buildings with back then. And because it was so long ago, the house was actually built in 1901.
Okay.
And what's kind of cool about the property is there is a horse hitch in the front yard, and the spa, which looks like a really tiny garage, is technically a carriage house. So it's from a whole different time where you stored your carriage in the carriage house, and your horses were tied up in front to the horse hitch.
Right.
And so it's not, I mean, it might be big enough that you could put a really tiny car in there. But like most modern cars wouldn't even fit in there because it's not designed to fit. It's not a garage. It's not designed to fit a car.
Right. It's to store a carriage and not a huge one.
Right.
Right. Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Did it have maids' quarters as well?
It may have. There was some remodeling that happened in the 90s that we know about, and my guess is probably before that too, but we don't have specific information about it being remodeled prior to that. So it was originally just like a residence, like a family's home. And then a man named George Custer, who owned it in the 50s, he added on the manager's quarters, and I think they renovated the kitchen and put in the little cottage cabins along the side and turned it into like a B&B.
Okay.
The thing that I think is really interesting about that is when we were renovating the space ourselves, we found this crest. I don't know even what it was, but some kind of a gold or probably brass memento sort of thing that was so this family, their last name was Custer. And so, like, he is a descendant of like General Custer.
Oh.
Who, I mean, talk about spooky ghost stories. Like someone that is and their family is permanently haunted. That family probably is.
Exactly.
You know? There's a lot of genocide essentially at his hand. So how do I say this right? I don't feel like his legacy is like inherently built into the house or anything like that. But I do feel like there probably is some degree of I don't know what you would even call it, but like backsplash from that type of carnage that family, well, the General Custer committed against Native Americans. So
right, sleeping women and children.
Right, like totally innocent people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is that, which I always kind of wonder um, if people do sometimes who are really like sensitive pick up on some weird, scary, murdery vibes. I have never felt anything like that. I've wondered about that.
Well, I would wonder then too, because I can't remember the dates when Seaside was settled, but I know it was settled or developed as a resort.
Yes.
And not terribly much earlier than 1901.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. Custer was there. When did he buy it?
Oops, sorry. Just realizing. I
Uh,
didn't mean to do that. I was just going to look something up on my phone, but instead I think I reopened that other.
oh,
Turn it off.
oh,
Leave. Leave.
let me try to remove it. Whoops. I
Here
hit
I
the
am.
wrong thing. Okay, well, you got rid of the other thing.
Yes, I did.
It's gone. Okay.
Okay. Oh,
Yay.
maybe that's what that feed. No, it's still doing the echo. Okay.
A little bit on and off. Yeah, I don't know. Because I'm wondering, because his name was George too, right?
Yes.
So you've got a descendant of General Custer with the same first name
Right.
and very different tribes, but there had been a lot of Native American villages and such in that area at one point.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if there was anything left by the time this Custer moved there.
Yeah, and the other thing is he owned the property in the 90s. So
Oh, 1990s?
yes.
Oh, yeah, no,
So
there
this would
wouldn't
have
have
been,
been.
he wasn't the person who built the home. He's
Right.
somebody who bought the home. And so that's kind of what I was trying to say is as much as I do wonder if there's some kind of debris left spiritually from something like that,
Hmm.
I don't think, like, I think he was a perfectly fine person who did great things to the property and was just one of the owners.
Yeah.
I don't know who the original like family was, but I do remember reading somewhere that the family owned it for the house for a long time.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think things usually follow around and hang out with the family. I don't really believe in curses like that.
Mm.
But if people think they are, then they might have the effect of it.
Mm-hmm.
The power of suggestion sets up the whole thing.
Right.
So I don't know in that case. But where I was going with it, as a possibility, certainly wouldn't be there then with the natives, because I could see if this was 1909,
Right. No.
and there were still quite a few Native Americans at the site. There could be, if they understood who he was. But yeah, wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Did he do a good job with the inn? I mean, did it seem to work for a long time? I don't remember it, and I used to go up in that area all the time.
Yeah, I don't totally know the answer to that. We didn't buy it directly from him. We bought it from a different owner,
Right.
an elderly couple, um, Allie and Wedgie. And Wedgie, the husband, had that nickname because he was like a trick golfer who would golf with like really long golfing putter thingies.
Okay.
Clubs.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm a golfer, right? And so We bought it from them, and they had bought it as like a retirement investment. Like in their mind, they were like, "Oh, we're retired. We'll have a B&B." But it's a
Okay.
ton of work to run a little inn. Like so much cleaning, so much
It's a lot of work.
so much maintenance, so much. And I think they were a little in over their head. So they were only renting out the cabins. They weren't renting out the house. And they lived in the house like it was their house most of the time.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Did they have any activity? Do you know?
I don't know the answer to that. Like, I'm guessing not, or at least they didn't talk to them. Maybe actually, I should back up and say they were trying to sell it. They might have intentionally
They
not
were
told
what?
us. They were trying to sell the property. So
Right.
they might have intentionally not told us, but they didn't
Right.
mention anything like that.
Okay. And in Oregon, you do not have to disclose haunted property.
Yeah.
It's so. I have friends that found that out the hard way.
Oh, wow.
But it worked out fine. The ghosts are fine. Once they got used to them, everybody's happy.
Oh,
But
that's good.
yeah. Um, Now, what other kinds of things happen on the property and in the other rooms? Does my room have activity?
So you're going to be in room 6. So you're
I
going to,
am?
yes, you're getting the
Aha.
most active room.
Okay.
Um, yes, so people have talked about things in other rooms. Somebody said that they thought room 4 had this like debonair, they weren't sure if he was the man of the house or possibly a butler, but he had like pomade in his hair and they could smell the pomade.
Hmm.
And they said that he greets the guests, that when people are at the door, he comes down the stairs and he like welcomes people in.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that you have very proper ghosts that are
Yeah.
welcoming their visitors.
Yes. They are.
Oh, I love it. I wonder who he is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that might be part of the work that you guys end up doing is figuring out who is this debonair gentleman who is like coming down because he comes down like either head of the house or like a butler or somebody who it's his job to greet people.
Yeah, with some in greeting with some authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he belongs. Wow. Well, maybe before the workshop, maybe you can have a couple of different ghosts you can see if you want to, if we can try to work with specifically to identify and hear a little bit more about.
That would be great.
Yeah, because that would be interesting, a good way to add a little more focus
Yeah.
and
I
tie it to known history that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I am really excited about your event coming up at the end. And I'm so curious, like, how it is that you help people sort of tap into their psychic abilities.
Well, um, I think everybody is psychic. I think it's part of our DNA. I really do. I I think that we lose that connection when we live in a society that tends not to believe in it,
Or
tends to,
value it. Yeah.
right, and tends to redirect in all kinds of other ways. Um, I think it's getting harder and harder for people, maybe because our attention spans, the way messages are and sound bites are packaged now, that even adults don't have a 60-second attention span
Yeah.
anymore. And so that makes it a little bit more of a challenge. But I think this is part of what kept us from getting eaten by saber-toothed tigers and clubbed over the head by other Neanderthals or whatever. And
Mm.
particularly, I don't have exact dates. Nobody's been able to say exactly, but it seems like um, there's a lot of talk that we've only been speaking language for maybe 30, 50,000, 60,000 years.
Whoa.
My my guess is it goes back hunch goes back quite a bit further than that. But even at that, we had a long period of time where we didn't really have language.
Right.
And we certainly didn't have language between inter-tribes or strange groups. And so having psychic ability could really be of use. Um, there was a great deal of ancestor connection. There seems to be. Again, we don't have written records from a prehistoric time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we, just by looking at art and burials and different things that we can find archaeologically, this is a supposition that makes sense. Um, best guess hypothesis. And um, so there's lots of reasons why we would have these skills at one point. And what we what I do is we go over some respect and a few things first. I am very adamant that we treat all entities with kindness and respect. Um, and we treat the property and the owners that way as well, and staff. I mean, after all, we're the interlopers. And I I work with people, helping them put up shields and filters and things too. These are part of the first pieces, but then a lot of it is encouraging, giving ways, giving ideas of how to let the messages and the idea come through. And sometimes it's a third eye visual,
Mm.
sometimes it's a knowing. People understand something or know something, but they don't see it that way. And
Mm-hmm.
that's especially true for beginners. Um, how to start discerning, okay, now what's my imagination and what's mediumship? How does it feel? Writing things down, keeping journals, um, and how does it feel? How is it different to be picking up something as a medium in the psychic than it does imagination?
Mm-hmm.
And how often am I right? What am I doing? I encourage people to start keeping track, writing down what they get, and writing down when there's a way of verifying that what they are picking up is valid or true. Sometimes we are able to verify through pictures or history books or other people's experiences that yes, this is indeed something real that you knew nothing about, but yet now you know about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not always the case. It's often not the case, because we don't necessarily have all the history. And I like to go. Uh, I'm a sucker for the Neolithic, and um, so we don't have any records much to. I can pick up on some of what I can verify some of what I pick up on in those sites, but there's a lot I can't. But a place like the Inn, there's a little more because we don't have all the records, but we have some,
Yeah.
and we have more of an understanding of the history and the people that would have been around and going there. Um, it'd be interesting to see the books of the B&B owners before, and what kinds of, if there's anything that their guest books or anything that indicate anything about who their visitors were, as far as what they did for work or where they were from, things like that. Just be an interesting
Yeah.
way to help put the story together.
Well, I find the history, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I find the history of Seaside really fascinating. And there's a nearby museum that goes through and talks about the whole history. And I find it all fascinating. And I'm happy to share with that with
Oh,
you.
good.
But I feel like I interrupted you. Is there something specifically that you had wanted to say?
Oh, I don't remember. My
Okay.
ADHD kicks in and I get lost. I I guess I just we work then on documenting how do things feel. People work on their own. We get together, we talk, and I gave them hints and re, some ideas about, okay, now try this, or okay, you're not picking up anybody over here. Go talk to that man. Sometimes something like that, because the idea is to let people find and develop their own. Sometimes they need nudging.
Mhm.
Sometimes they need a little bit more help. And these classes are good for people of all levels because I can get around and I can, especially one this long, I can work with people more you one on one as well as group. And I can see I try to watch anyway and see who's struggling and who isn't from a distance. And if they're not, I leave them alone. If they are, um, I'll see if they want me to help them or if they come to me. But it's everybody's so individual. There's no one size fits all. I don't have a textbook because it isn't textbook learning, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Mhm.
Everybody has their own methodology, their own instruction manual, so to speak. And my job is to help people find that, read it, and interpret it, and see how that works, and see how that changes. Because how much and how good we are at these fields is just like anything else. How much do we study? How much do we practice?
Yeah.
And nobody's going to become a full fledged medium in a 2 day workshop. I spent, let me see, I'm 66. I started doing work with psychic development and mediumship by the time I was 18, if not before.
Wow.
And I've been professional 12, 13 years, maybe 15, somewhere in there. Um, and, it took that long. And yeah, it's working with it on and off a little bit, but it took that long before I felt confident and had enough support behind me to say, yes, you need to do this. You're good at this. You can do it. And so I also like to be supportive of people's aha and wow moments when they really get it. I mean, when you can see the light shine in somebody's eyes turn on because, oh, that's that's a huge thrill, a big joy for me. It's like, yes, okay, good. Um, I like to see people thrive and grow, and it's all connected to history. So there's always that piece with it. You don't have history without ghosts, and you don't have ghosts without history.
Yeah.
And place like the Starry Night, that area, you've got Fae as well, elementals, others, whatever you want to call them. Um, I'm not saying that they're running around inside your buildings, but they're in that area. I could sense and see them, and so that's part of what we'll look at. And part of what the class will look at too is, okay, what do you see in the history in the past? What did this look like?
Mhm.
Um, where, how did things change? What do you see coming down the street at you? Um, how do you smell the smoke or see the fire?
Right.
Um, if it's possible, it might even be fun to walk over to the block or location where the house used to sit
Yeah.
and see if there's anything. I mean, okay, it's October. It'll depend a little bit on the weather, on how much we do outside and where. I mean, it could be 80 degrees or it could be a
Right.
full-blown
No
hurricane.
way of knowing.
Yeah. And we might be studying and learning in the dark, or we might not.
Yes.
Although Seaside's pretty good at keeping the lights on, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's answered the question or not, but
Yeah,
a little
that
idea.
does. That does.
Good. We need to put the link up as to how they can get on to the site. And I'm not trying to be rude.
Oh no. How about if while you do that, I tell you a little bit of history that I know about Seaside?
That you do what?
That I
Oh,
know.
tell the history?
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent.
Okay. So Seaside is kind of an interesting town. You touched on it a little bit, that it was a big tourist town going back to even the Victorian times.
Mhm.
A lot of the coast hadn't even really been settled. Like there were a handful of towns that were viewed as like vacation destination. And actually, what's kind of funny is I mean, they were still vacations, but there was a big idea back then that like if you were sickly or whatever, that the fresh sea air was healing. So as people would go for a vacation, they would also go just like for healing purposes as well. And back then, people were traveling by horse and buggy, carriage, whatever. It would take hours to get from, wherever their hometown was to Seaside.
Mhm.
Most roads were just, dirt roads. So with Oregon and how wet and rainy it is, there would be times of the year that it almost impossible to even get to Seaside because it was so wet and just not optimal for horses' hooves and buggy wheels, so forth.
Right.
So when people would come, there were a few things that were pretty different back then. One of them is that people would stay in like canvas tents a lot of the time because there wasn't actually many hotels yet.
They would stay in where?
Like
Sorry?
canvas tents.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. My ears don't work as well as they used to.
No problem. Yeah, so like there's photos that you can find of like these fancy looking Victorian women on the beach with like canvas tents that they're all staying in that I imagine probably people rented them out or something like that. But that was sort of a precursor to like your hotel room. Like probably there were some really fancy people that could afford a hotel, but the average person who go to the beach, stay in a little
Northwest on South
on the
Lincoln
beach.
Street towards Spring Valley Drive, then turn left onto Spring.
I'm sorry about that. My phone likes to go to MapQuest.
No problem.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that's kind of interesting. Just imagining like these people in like what petticoats and whatever people were wearing back then, and just the fussiness of these outfits and little leather heeled shoes or whatever, like sleeping probably pretty close to the ground, maybe on some kind of a cot or something, and traveling these long distances with horse and carriage or buggy or whatever, and just how kind of rough that would have been. Like not exactly the vacation sounding experience to me.
Yes.
People did it. And then over the years, I think that there was a lot of reinventing of Seaside. So there's also photos of Seaside from like 30s, 40s, 50s. And you can see that there used to be businesses that were way up, like on the right on the shoreline. Like right now, the way Seaside is, there's the beach, and then there's like a boardwalk, which they call the promenade, and then there's hotels and other businesses. Back then, they literally had bike stores where you could rent bikes and just other businesses that were like right on the beach line, which I imagine they don't do that anymore because of flooding and tsunamis and things like that. But you can see that just kind of the evolution. There also used to be like piers where people could walk out. But same thing, I think they just got destroyed over the years of the water, coming in so high that it wrecked the wood and the whole infrastructure of the pier.
Right.
So that's kind of like the old history, but there's other kind of cool things that I've seen that I found really interesting. Like they used to have, and this is all across the country, but there happened to be one in Seaside too. They used to have indoor swimming pools, natatoriums.
Right.
And have you heard of this before?
Pardon me?
Have you heard of this before, natatorium?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the details, but I've heard of them before, yes.
Yeah, and so just they look cool because they're of another time and place. So imagine a swimming pool, but like fancy. So there's like fountains in the middle, and there's like glass all around that you can see outside, and people wearing like long swimsuits that go down to like not quite their knees. And just, it's a bygone era. It's very cool that there are these things that are sort of relics of the past. Like I had never heard of a natatorium. I actually was doing a bunch of research on Seaside and just like sort of the history, and randomly stumbled upon a page that talked about the natatorium of Seaside, and I was like, what? That's so interesting.
Right.
Another thing that is also kind of fascinating is there is called fascination, which I don't totally know fully how to play it, but because I haven't played it, but I've read about it. Again, relic of Seaside. It still exists, and it is a game. Is like I think there's one in maybe in Florida. Like there's like two, three old countries that are left. It's a really old game, and it's at the arcade in Seaside, and I think it's like one of those things where you have a ball and you kind of throw it up, and it I don't know, but it somehow is distinctively different than the other more modern versions, and it's called Fascination, and I think it's fascinating because it's like Seaside has these artifacts, there's a history there.
Right. Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. And so the fire that happened, like I said, it was like in the teens. I have to fact check myself on that, but it destroyed like maybe not everything in downtown, but almost everything in downtown was destroyed.
Right.
And we had to rebuild. And I think it's one reason that Seaside had a really kind of so it was rebuilt, in the 20s, let's say, which was an impoverished time, obviously. And then it was, I think, because it was still kind of trying to find its legs, so to speak. it kept getting sort of reinvented. And so there's photos from the 50s where it looks really not just fancy, lots of sort of atomic looking signs, and photos of like cars that are, a mile and a half long and just very cool looking. And you could just see that Seaside has been a tourist area that has sort of been reinventing itself over generations and kind of becoming the next version of itself as it goes.
Right.
I think of Seaside as sort of like the Coney Island of Oregon, in that it's got like a history to it of being like a vacation destination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lots
that's
of,
interesting.
lots of like saltwater taffy and just all the things that you expect to find, corn dogs, like old shops that have been there forever. They do corn dogs and bumper cars that have been there since, I don't know, maybe the 50s, and just other.
Except the bumper cars used to be on the other side of the street.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, they're always reinventing. It probably isn't the original one from the 50s, but it has that vibe about it.
I think they might have been right around where that building is that has the shops and the Chinese restaurant, and I can't remember the name of it.
I know the place you mean, that where the carousel is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think, but I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
Because my mother's from Astoria.
Oh.
She was born there. Her mother was born there.
Oh, wow.
Her grandmother came over from Finland as a little girl, 1880s.
Wow.
So, we'd go to Seaside too. My sister and I'd stay with grandma for a week at a time in the summers, and a relative would pick us up and we'd go to Seaside and Coffinberry Lake and, things like that. And it's been interesting to watch because in the 60s, when this was going on for a while, a lot of it was boarded up.
Oh.
It seemed like. And I'm trying to figure out exactly just when. I think it was maybe later 60s, mid to later 60s. In my memory is a lot of it was closed and boarded up. And we were there in the summer because, school was out. And so that's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
And now everything's open.
Right.
Hopefully it's thriving. I don't know. The beach when I was a kid, you didn't want to go on the beach. It was filthy. Litter and stuff everywhere. And now it's fabulous. And it has been for years. But I'm just saying, watching this, it was kind of a slump period.
Well, the thing that's interesting about the beaches, I'm glad you brought that up. So every year, for example, when 4th of July happens, for example, it's kind of scary. I mean, I think it's fun if it's one of those things to see, but if you've seen it, you're probably done. You don't need to see it again, because not only does the city do fireworks, but there's people just on the beach doing fireworks, and it's kind of a whole party scene where there's people just like drinking and throwing their garbage everywhere. And so the next day, the beach is a disaster. So it's like everybody's like the carnage of all their fireworks, their junk they've left behind. But the amazing thing that happens is there are people who just sign up and show up and clean the beach the next day. I remember staying late on the 4th and leaving and just looking around me, and there's garbage everywhere. And the next day I went down to the beach because I just kind of wanted to see it in the light of day. And there was still a lot of garbage, but there was tons of people out there picking up all the trash. And I was just like, oh my God, these people are amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. The town is just a totally different place and a different feel from what I experienced as a little kid. And I'm glad. But those hotels weren't there. All of them weren't there.
When you were a kid and you went to Seaside, what did you do if you didn't want to go to the beach?
We, if I could convince Grandma, or if I was with my folks, ride the Dodgem cars. We get some saltwater taffy. You'd look at the beach and a few things, and I think we did go play on it sometimes a bit, but it, it wasn't. I wasn't. I liked going other parts of the beach better than Seaside as a kid,
Okay.
and money was tight and stuff too, so everything was a little expensive. But there weren't other rides. There was a merry-go-round. We'd ride that. Um, but so much of everything else was closed, and yeah, so I think we'd do that for a little bit and then go to Coffinberry Lake and have a picnic and swim. Or um, yeah, with Grandma we didn't do the Peter Ardale because she couldn't walk that much. But with my family, Fort Stevens and the Peter Ardale and Battery Russell and all that was part of what we did a lot. My father was a history teacher, so
cool.
yeah, and so those kinds of things we did, and we'd go down when we wanted to go to the beach. Sometimes we'd go down to Cannon and things like that. But usually when we went to the coast, we went to see Grandma, and if it was a day trip, we didn't go to the beach. If it was Susie and I spending a week, then we'd get down to Seaside and or Fort Stevens on one day of the time. And if the weather was good, we'd be walking to Tapiola Pool.
Okay.
Yeah, it was nice. Even in, third, fourth grade, we could, and my sister 2 years younger, we could walk around the neighborhood. And, we had people. My grandmother was a teacher at the school next to her. And so she'd set up, by the time I was a little bit older, she could set up play dates with some of the kids in her class. And we'd wander around. Shoot, I remember falling off logs into streams and all kinds of stuff. Just, there was always an adult somewhere that knew something about what we were up to. And it was a lot of freedom to do whatever you wanted that way.
Oh, yeah.
And
Such a different way that kids grew up back then.
yeah. And my grandmother was pretty strict, but well, she spoiled us. So, my mom had a stricter upbringing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. I have a lot of good memories. And the ferry boat.
Okay. Good.
But I'm excited to be coming back down there. Is this does this look right?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. So people, if you want to check out, I know spots are limited and they have been selling out. This is the website to go to. You don't go to the Starry Night Inn's actual website. You come to this one. And all the information and everything's there. You can get tickets. We set it up so people that if the hotels or the inn sells out, people can still stay someplace else and come, or locals can come. And so there are lots of options for you.
Right.
but you want to stay in the inn because it's magic.
Yeah. Well, and I'm excited for, I mean, weather permitting, the idea of going down to the beach and working with you on what is in the ocean that we might be able to see. I think that sounds very cool. And actually, I was even just thinking this too, is like I told you the Victorian history. Of course, there's a way older native story, which I don't know,
Right.
that of that area. And like I was just saying, the ocean. I mean, the ocean has a history that's as long as the beginning of time. So,
Exactly.
like, who knows what might be out there to discover?
It can be. And one of the things that's fun too with the ocean is sitting there and watching the sailing ships. Or, oh, that one's going down. Or,
We're talking about ghost ships.
yeah, the
Yeah,
ones we only see here.
right,
You can't see them here.
right.
And it's really interesting in doing that in places that have thousands of years of history, and sometimes the harbor those ships were in has been silted up in plains land for 1,000 or 2,000 years, and you can watch them. And
Right.
it's we'll touch on a lot of different things during the event, during the class, and give people some experiences. And it always varies a little bit depending on who comes and who signs up,
Mhm.
and what skill levels people are in. I'm good at making the class work for a variety of groups of people. And I
I'm
know I don't mean to
sure.
be bragging. I'm just,
No,
it's something I can do and I enjoy doing. And partly is there's enough one-on-one time and on their own time that we can do that, where we talk and then we practice, and so there's a lot we can do. And again, nobody's going to be the pro at this after a 2-day course.
right. Well, and then on my end, I'm going to do what I do, which is make sure that there are lots of awesome complimentary snacks,
Oh,
drinks,
you're awesome.
and so that people can really relax and like sink their teeth into this workshop and be able to focus their energies on the learning and not have to worry about like, I'm hungry. I wish, I had a glass of wine right now. No problem. We've got that for you.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And you're close to restaurants and such, so when it's
yeah.
lunchtime or dinner time, people can take a break and go off and do it. And I'll see what people want to do. It's probably best just to have people go do their own and then get back together again.
Yep.
But um, if people want to go out in groups, we can look at that too.
Yeah.
But this is going to be so much fun. So, people, I encourage you to sign up. And we did. We work hard to keep things affordable. Like you were saying, when you found the place and what you were looking for setting up, you wanted to make sure that it was a place that was accessible.
Exactly.
And I try to do that with my events.
Which is great.
Yeah. And that's one of the nice things with a group event like this. I don't have to charge so much because there are more people to help offset costs and everything. And you've been very kind. So
Well, you've been very kind too.
this is going to be great. Let's see, we're right up about on an hour. Do you have anything else you'd like to add or say? We should probably put your website down too, or yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Just that I think we're offering a really unique experience for people. If you've never come and stayed at the Starry Night Inn, I would encourage people. The off season, our prices are the most affordable, and it's a great time to just come and see what the experience of the Starry Night Inn is, because we often get feedback that what we're doing is pretty unique.
Excellent. Now, is this right?
It's the Starry Night Inn.
Oh, I wonder if I can chase. What's this do? That didn't do what I wanted it to do.
Okay.
Oh, here. Delete comment.
Yeah, so right. So I would encourage people to come and check out the inn in the off season. The other thing I will say is that we offer artist residencies, and you could read more about this on our website. But we have reduced rates of 4 or more days that people can come and work on their art. Their art could literally be discovering their psychic abilities. Like, we are open to whatever a person's creative outlet is.
Okay.
And then in the months of December and January, we actually have a discount on 2 of our units for our art residencies. So if you wanted to come and get a really affordable break at the coast where they can work on their writing, their poetry, their psychic ability, their whatever their art is, you can come and stay at a great rate and really sink your teeth into your art.
That would be fantastic. And like I say, I haven't spent the night yet, but just with my experience with the classes I taught there, the work I've been hanging out there a bit, this is a perfect place, people, to go and do just that. I think you'll love it. Did I get it right this time?
Yes, you did. That's
Oh,
perfect.
good. So get a hold of them. And anybody out there in the audience have any questions? I'm not seeing any. Anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think this is everything.
Okay. Well, Jen, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for being on. And I'm so excited about next month. It's only it's less than a month away.
You're
3
right.
weeks?
You're right.
Yeah. So don't dilly-dally, people. Get your reservations in.
That's right.
Anyway, I'm not usually this shamefully self-promoting, but it's my show I get to.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. With that bad joke, everybody, I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.
Bye.